USC should be able to physically overwhelm Rice, a program that hasn't posted a winning record since 2014. That said, there's always the thought process of how much can we glean from this game because of the physical mismatch. For me, there are things like quarterback, wide receiver, rapport, and are they on the same page? Are we seeing when the quarterback improvises that the receivers and the quarterback are not on the same page, or when there's options in the passing game and the wide receiver has the ability to look at what's going on in the secondary and break off routes, but there's misconnections there. If there's a particular offensive lineman, especially on the perimeter at one of the tackle spots, that's getting beat by a player on a Rice roster, then okay, this isn't boding well for more difficult opponents. Let's say after the first or second cornerback, if those third and fourth cornerbacks are getting burned a couple times on one-on-one situations, what's going to happen when they're facing more talented players? So even if the overall score is 4 or 5 touchdowns, you can get those indicators of okay, where could this football team be taken advantage of later by a better opponent? What did they need to clean up?
No question about it. And they're like, Rice could drop an easy 75-yard touchdown pass, so you're never going to see that in the box score. But you have a blown assignment, a missed coverage, something like that. So absolutely, and that's going back to 2021 and remembering how awful this defense was. So that's going to be certainly an item to watch in this Rice game. That if Rice scoring 28 points would be like UCLA scoring 62. We could make that kind of comparison. And last year, as soon as USC's defense got punched in the mouth, waved the white flag. The surrender cobra just was not able to mount any real resistance. For almost all of the season, the BYU game was really an exception. That was a game where USC put up a fight for 4 full quarters. When it got punched in the mouth, it was able to respond well, took that game right down to the wire. BYU narrowly escaped, and that was a good BYU team that USC almost beat. We didn't see that level of fight from the USC defense for the vast majority of the 2021 season. So in many ways, part of this Rice game is just, it's not likely to be ultra competitive, but if Rice lands a blow early, like how does that team respond? Do you see a very authoritative response on the next drive, on the next possession, things like that? Watching bad things happen, but then immediately getting things back together, immediately rallying around a situation and making course corrections in the heat of battle, seeing those kinds of responses, that's going to be part of the value of this game. And Rice is not ultra threatening, but if something bad happens, like this is the first game of the season, it's only going to get tougher from here. So this is a good trial run, to see how these guys respond in live situations.
And for all the fans that believe that USC is going to run away with this game, me included, most likely that is going to be the case. But we'll be here 1 week from today, and there will have been 3 or 4 Power 5 versus Group of 5 games that were double-digit spreads that got a little dicey in the fourth quarter. Oklahoma and Tulane come to mind in week 1 last year. And that was not a Tulane team that was as good as its predecessors. That Tulane team was typically winning 7 games and going to a bowl game. Last year's team was awful. We didn't know it at the time. But week 1, they were at midfield with a shot to get a first down to keep a drive alive at 40-35 with about 2 minutes left in the game. So it's going to happen somewhere.
And we all know who the head coach was for the higher ranked team in that game, a guy named Lincoln Riley. But that point aside, week 1, we mentioned week 0 and how so many games just had these abrupt shifts. And hey, like UConn was a 23-point dog, I think, got a quick 14-0 lead on the road at Utah State. Weird things happen. And so a small part of me, not the majority part, but a small part of me would like to see Rice get a 7-0 lead. Like, and that might be better than USC bolting to the 28-0 first quarter lead. Is that, oh, this isn't automatic. Oh, we actually have to go out and make the effort every play. That could be kind of like this little splash of cold water that these guys need. I have made the point in previous episodes in the month of August here at the Voice of College Football that I don't want an opener that goes perfectly. That would be bad. I don't want players to walk away from this thinking, hey, we got this. Like we know exactly what to do. I hope there are enough mistakes. I mean, you don't want too many of them, but just enough mistakes that the coaches can get after these guys in the film room and on the practice field next week, so that there isn't a sense of overconfidence going to Stanford. Like that's a slight concern that, hey, we have Lincoln Riley, we have Caleb Williams. What could possibly go wrong? Definitely don't want the team to go to the farm in week 2 thinking that way. And, it's Lincoln Riley, I'm sure, is telling his players, focus on the assignment. We're trying to restore USC. We need to have a professional culture. We need to do things the right way. He can say all those things until he's blue in the face, but human nature being what it is, right? All the hype, all the pageantry and the excitement and the enthusiasm, it's certainly going to be human nature for a lot of these players to think that their talent is just going to be able to carry them, and that they don't make the extra effort, or they don't tend to the extra details, and that could lead to an early season ambush, which knocks the whole campaign off track. So against Rice, I want to see enough mistakes that the coaching staff, has an easy opening to say, see that, that's not even close to what you need to do, where you need to be. And so we get some vigilance and some accountability from the players, like they realize by themselves in a way that, like, no one needs to belabor the point. Like they can just see it on film. Like, oh, I'm not ready. I'm not fully there. I want that going into Stanford and the rest of the season. That's an important piece of all this.